James Gunn confirms how Peacemaker Season 2 finale set up the DCU's future. What if I told you the Peacemaker Season 2 finale wasn't really an ending at all? What if the whole thing, the betrayal, the kidnapping, the new dimension, wasn't a cliffhanger, but the beginning of the DCU's secret master plan? Yeah, I know, that sounds like the kind of wild theory you read at 3 a.m. on Reddit. But James Gunn just confirmed it himself, and it changes everything. Because the truth is Peacemaker's story isn't over, it's evolving into something far bigger, something cosmic, something that literally rewrites the rules of how the DCU works. And the craziest part, the entire future of Superman, Lex Luthor, and even the metahumans depends on what happened in that final scene. The one everyone thought was just another Gunn-style post-credit gag. Let's rewind. In the final moments of Peacemaker Season 2, we see Rick Flag's turn. Yes, the father of the man Peacemaker killed, finally make his move. He captures Christopher Smith, traps him inside a new dimension called Salvation, and tells his team they're gonna turn it into a prison for metahumans. Now pause right there. A new dimension, a prison for metahumans, and a government operation run by Rick Flag's CERN, who's suddenly teamed up with Lex Luthor. That's not a side plot. That's a blueprint. Because according to Gunn, that's the direct setup for Man of Tomorrow, the next Superman movie, and the film that officially defines the DCU's tone, power scale, and moral conflict. Think about it. Gunn isn't just continuing Peacemaker's story, he's merging it into Superman's. He's literally taking the dirtiest corner of the DCU, filled with anti-heroes, guilt, and government secrets, and smashing it into the world of idealism, hope, and alien gods. And the reason he can do that, Salvation. This isn't just some random, other dimension. Gunn described it as realm beyond consequence, a place where the government can test metahuman behavior in total isolation. Basically, it's a cosmic sandbox, a metaphysical Guantanamo Bay for superheroes. And guess who's the guinea pig? Peacemaker. I mean, you've gotta hand it to Gunn. Trapping a man obsessed with peace in a dimension literally named Salvation. That's poetic cruelty. But here's where the tension spikes when Peacemaker gets trapped there. He hears something. Something alive. Something huge. Fans brushed it off as an alien roar or a monster tease. But if you know Gunn, you know he doesn't throw random noises into finales for fun. Every sound is a breadcrumb. And those monster sounds, they might be the first echo of the DCU's real big bad. Here's where it gets deliciously conspiratorial. James Gunn has said Man of Tomorrow will feature Lex Luthor and Superman being forced to work together against a greater threat. But he never said that threat comes from Earth. So what if that greater threat isn't just a villain, but a cosmic entity tied to Salvation itself? What if the government didn't discover Salvation, they opened it? See the pattern. Gunn's not just connecting shows, he's connecting mythologies. Salvation could be the DCU's version of the Phantom Zone, a place where moral codes break, where even gods can be imprisoned, and where the real monsters live. And if that's true, Peacemaker's suffering becomes the moral test of the DCU. Because remember, Chris Smith isn't a hero. He's a man who killed for peace, lied to himself about redemption, and now faces a dimension that literally mirrors his guilt. That's not a coincidence. That's narrative punishment. James Gunn's secret weapon has always been empathy. He builds universes through broken people. And now, instead of jumping from a clean slate, he's dragging Peacemaker's trauma into Superman's purity. It's genius. It's horrifying. And it might just redefine what heroism means in this new universe. But hold on, here's where things get even darker. Rick Flag's CERT isn't working alone. He's building a containment alliance with Luthor, a partnership Gunn confirmed will bleed into Man of Tomorrow. Lex wants control of the metahumans. Flag wants justice for his son, but both of them see Salvation as a solution. And when the government decides that superpowered people are too dangerous for freedom, you know who they'll come for next. Superman. This is how the dominoes fall. Peacemaker's imprisonment becomes Luthor's justification. Luthor's justification becomes government policy. And suddenly, the world's greatest hero is forced to fight for the right to even exist. That's the twisted genius of Gunn's storytelling. He's not rebooting, he's infecting the DCU with continuity. Every project bleeds into the next like a virus of consequence. And that's why, even though Gunn confirmed there's no Peacemaker Season 3, he didn't cancel the character. He migrated him. He turned Chris Smith into the emotional bridge between the dirty old DCEU and the hopeful, terrifying new DCU. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Sophia, you're saying Peacemaker's dimension prison is connected to Superman's story. That's too big of a leap. But remember, this is the same Gunn who turned a talking raccoon's trauma into an entire Marvel trilogy. Nothing's too big for him. And here's where I'll give you one secret that most fans miss at the Salvation name itself isn't random. It's the same word used in the Man of Tomorrow teaser's codename, Project Salvations. No, it's the same operation, meaning while Peacemaker is being psychologically broken inside Salvation, Lex Luthor and Flag are already using his imprisonment to pitch their solution to the metahuman problem. It's propaganda in motion, a dark mirror of Superman's symbol of hope. And before I reveal how that ties into the Lanterns and Clayface shows, let me just say this. If you're obsessed with the hidden side of these universes, the connections they don't show in trailers, then you're exactly who we make these videos for. So, yeah, this is your one moment. Make sure you're subscribed to Breakdown Epic. because this isn't just a recap. This is a map of where the DCU is really going, and you're gonna want front row access when the next secret drops. Now let's talk about the timeline game Gunn's playing. Everyone thinks Man of Tomorrow comes after Lanterns and Supergirl, right? But the catch is, Gunn didn't say these stories happen in chronological order. He said they're all in motion. Which means while Kara is flying across the stars in Supergirl, and while Hal and John are patrolling Earth in Lanterns, Salvation could already exist in the background, like a shadow project no one knows about. It's the checkmate of the new DCU. And if you caught that name, yes, Checkmate is officially part of Gunn's new continuity. But notice how he's avoiding mentioning them publicly. That's not an accident. That's misdirection, because who else could authorize a cross-dimensional metahuman prison except Checkmate, the government's most secret black ops division? Meaning, every time you see a shadowy agent or an off-book mission in the next few DCU projects, that's not random world building. That's the Salvation Initiative spreading quietly through every corner of the universe. So yeah, Peacemaker's cliffhanger isn't a teaser, it's the inflection point. The moment the old DC world collapsed and the new one began. Here's where things get wild. And I mean multiverse breaking, secret file buried under Area 51 wild. Because what if I told you that Salvation isn't the only project that connects Peacemaker to Man of Tomorrow? What if the next 3 DCU shows, Lanterns, Clayface, and Supergirl, are all quietly orbiting around the same event, like satellites around a black hole? Gunn's been dropping clues for months. Subtle ones, like the logo of the Lantern Corps glowing the same color as the portal energy in Peacemaker's finale, or the Clayface teaser mentioning government-approved containment tech. It's all the same energy signature, the same prison tech, the same Salvation. And here's the part that keeps me up at night. If Salvation exists outside of time, then what happens inside that dimension could affect the entire DC timeline. Think about it. Peacemaker is stuck in a place where cause and effect don't work normally. That means his imprisonment could be the reason the Lanterns detect anomalies in early 2026, the same reason Supergirl's ship drifts off course in 2026, and the reason Lex Luthor starts experimenting with dimensional gateways in Man of Tomorrow. He's not just in prison, he's the spark that lights every fuse. Now here's where Gunn's storytelling turns from clever to dangerously intricate. You see, the DCU's foundation isn't being built on new heroes. It's being built on moral experiments. Every story asks a question about control, guilt, or salvation. Peacemaker's question, can peace exist without freedom? Superman's, can power exist without fear? Lanterns, can justice exist without corruption? And all those answers lead back to the same organization pulling strings behind the scenes. Checkmate. We didn't see Checkmate in the finale, but we heard them. Remember that radio chatter right before Flag trapped Peacemaker? The voice that said, Test Subject 1 entering gate. That's Checkmate code. And here's the forbidden knowledge James Gunn hasn't confirmed publicly, but all his clues scream at us Salvation is Checkmate's prototype for the Wall. If that name rings a bell, you know exactly how dark this could get in DC lore. The Wall is a metaphysical boundary that separates the mortal universe from the domain of gods and cosmic beings. A place where failed creations and dead worlds are buried. Imagine if the US government is unknowingly building that. That's not just a prison anymore. That's a doorway to the divine, which means, while Superman's fighting for humanity in Man of Tomorrow, the government might literally be constructing a wall between Earth and the divine order, between gods and men, and the first man to ever cross it. Peacemaker. You see what Gunn's doing now. He's creating theological stakes. The DCU isn't about heroes versus villains anymore. It's about humanity trying to control the concept of divinity itself. And somewhere in that cosmic cage, something roars back. That roar Peacemaker heard at the end. The one echoing through the void. Some fans think it's Doomsday, others think it's an alien. But what if it's a fallen god? One that predates Krypton, one that Luthor will accidentally unleash while experimenting on Salvation's energy core. That's the real setup for Man of Tomorrow. Superman and Lex forced to fight side by side, because they've opened something neither can control. And here's the irony. The one man who knows what's inside Salvation, the one who could warn them, is trapped there alone. That's Gunn's brilliance. Every heroic act is tied to a failure of empathy. Every villain's plan starts as a solution. Peacemaker's quest for peace led to tyranny. Luthor's quest for control leads to apocalypse. And Superman's quest for hope will lead him straight into Salvation's jaws. You can practically hear Gunn laughing in the editing room, because while everyone's arguing over continuity, he's building a philosophical trap. Now, mid-video check, I'm curious, how many of you actually want Peacemaker to stay trapped? Like imagine this. What if Season 3 never happens because the DCU doesn't need it? What if his punishment is his legacy? Drop a comment below. Free Peacemaker, if you want him out, or keep him contained, if you think the guy's karmic debt isn't paid yet. And hey, if you watched our last deep dive on how Amanda Waller built the Suicide Gods, this theory ties directly into that one. See how Gunn's doing it. It's all a web. Now let's play a quick hypothetical. What if, when Superman and Lex finally find Salvation, they don't find Peacemaker, they find what's left of him? A broken man, half-human, half-dimensional entity. The living embodiment of guilt. The ultimate weapon against gods because he's already seen what lies beyond them. Tell me that wouldn't be the darkest twist in DC history. And I can hear you saying, Sophia, you're reaching. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe that's exactly the kind of emotional gut punch Gunn loves to write. He doesn't kill characters, he transforms them into metaphors. So imagine Peacemaker standing before Superman, glowing with that eerie salvation energy, whispering, I found peace, Clark, but it cost the world its soul. Boom, there's your emotional anchor for the entire DCU. Now before we close, I want you to notice something subtle in the release schedule. Gunn dropped Lanterns early 2026, Supergirl mid 2026, Clayface late 2026, Man of Tomorrow mid 2027. That's not random pacing. That's year-long escalation. Each project brings humanity one step closer to the salvation reveal. Lanterns will uncover the anomaly, Supergirl will sense its cosmic resonance, Clayface will show its human corruption, and Superman will confront its divine horror. By the time we reach 2027, the DCU won't just have a villain, it'll have a god-sized concept haunting every corner of it. And the seed for that god, it's Peacemaker's punishment. That's why James Gunn isn't rushing Season 3, because the finale already fulfilled its purpose. It planted the DCU's first true myth. Now, do I think Gunn's going to reveal all this in a single movie? No. He's smarter than that. He'll spread it like gospel across years. And every time you think the story's over, boom, another piece connects back to salvation. That's what I call forbidden architecture. You can't see the full shape until you step outside the story. So if you ever wondered why Gunn keeps saying, everything is connected, but not in the way you expect, this is what he means. The DCU isn't building up to a villain, it's building up to a revelation. And when it finally happens, every project, from Peacemaker to Supergirl to Man of Tomorrow, will collapse into a single, terrifying truth that the wall between salvation and damnation is man-made. That's how deep this finale goes. That's how Peacemaker Season 2 didn't just end, it ignited the future. So what do you think, Breakdown Epic family? Was this all part of Gunn's master plan, or is he winging it with style? Drop your wildest DCU theory in the comments. I read the weird ones first, and remember, the next time you hear a director say, everything is connected, don't roll your eyes. Grab a notebook. Because somewhere between peace and destruction, there's always a hidden door, and James Gunn just opened it. I'm Sophia, and this has been Breakdown Epic. Stay curious, stay chaotic, and I'll see you on the other side of salvation.